Hi, you all. It's Dr. Gleason here. I just wanted to post a video in order to go over the expectations for the final exam for this course and to also talk about an extra credit opportunity that I'm going to be offering all of the students. If you notice under your tabs on the right under iCollege, there is a final exam posted. And so I want to go over it real quick before I talk about the extra credit option. Okay, so if you open that, you'll notice that I give you a series of 4 final exam questions. You'll notice in very big bold letters it says, for the final you will write 2 essays chosen from the list before. So there are 4 choices, you pick 2. Never fails. Every semester I have someone only write 1 or try to write all 4 or do some combination of that, right? So what I want you to do is choose 2 of these and write what roughly is a 5-paragraph essay, but a substantial one, right? You might have more than 5 paragraphs. You should not have less than 5. But what I do expect is a good solid 2 pages for each question double spaced. So your entire final should be roughly 4 pages long. And essentially what I want you to do is I want you to pick one of these. I don't want a header. Remember that MLA header that takes up half of a page or a fourth of a page? I do not want that. You'll be counted off for that, right? I want you to start at the top of the page. I know my name. I know the class name. I know what the date is. I know, all of that you would put in that header. So I do not want that. What I do want is for you to fill up 2 pages. You do not have to use citations. I don't want you to use long direct quotes from things, but I do want you to use substantial, paraphrased in your own words, evidence, right, for your answer. So what you'll do is you will look at, so say you pick the first one. When the founding fathers wrote the first documents of our nation, they proclaimed that all men are created equal. In an essay, please tell me why they believe this to be true and whether or not the new government established in the late 1700s actually secured equality for all Americans. Support your position with evidence from the material. So this is something we talked about in the very beginning of this class, the beginning chunk of it, first, third, fourth. So if you were to answer that, you would tell me something about probably their beliefs, something about the American Enlightenment, where these ideas came from. You would tell me, probably about how they were trying to establish equality for people, what made the American Revolution a little bit different. And then you would, tell me what some of the shortcomings were, right? And I think from our material, we should kind of understand that you could pull in indigenous experience, you can pull in black experience, slavery. There are all kinds of things that you can talk about right there that would come specifically from the material, and you can pull in stuff from the readings as well in order to say, this is why they believe this to be true, and or maybe they believe this to be true, and this is how it fell short. However you want to approach that, but you should be able to give me 3 good solid paragraphs to basically say, this is why I'm saying what I'm saying. So it's an argument that you're making based on the material that you've learned in this course, right? And then, you should have some sort of a conclusion that would say, because of these things, this is why I take the position I have. Same thing with number 2. If you were going to say the Civil War, the primary cause of the real issue of the Civil War was slavery, you should be able to say that in kind of a paragraph, talk about how people talk about different ways in which, different factors in which the Civil War was affected or came to be. And then you should be able to give me kind of a narrative timeline. And if you go back through, some of that material, you should be able to talk about, the Missouri Compromise, the Compromise of 1850, Fugitive Slave Act. There's a lot of information in there that you should be able to pull out and say, well, this is why I'm taking the position that I take. Now, it's going to be the same for 3 and 4, right? If you talk about the Great Deal or the New Deal in 3, you should be able to talk about some of the programs in the New Deal, right? There's a number of programs that came up in our units that we went through, and you should be able to go through there and tell what some of those are, maybe tell how the New Deal was successful, maybe tell how the New Deal was not successful. And you should take a position, answer the question, and use evidence in order to support. So you should have a very systematic argument, right? And this is why I give you, a number of weeks to do this. I want you to be able to think about it, so you don't have to, sit down in 2 hours and pump something out, but that you can, sit back and look at your notes and really make a thoughtful contribution, right? Last for the 60s, the same thing. If you're going to talk about, I give you, specific things, feminism, gay rights. There are things that you can talk about. Obviously, when we're talking about the 1960s, we're talking about kind of the civil rights movement really coming to a head, right, in American society, something that had long been a movement, really coming to the surface. So you want to be able to use specific events that you've learned this semester, specific people, and to kind of tell me why those things matter. I want to see your brain working here, right? Okay, so that being said, I'm also going to offer a extra credit opportunity. I usually do this every semester, and I was afraid because of COVID I wouldn't be able to this semester, but I do think that, especially with vaccinations and COVID precautions, I think I can safely open it up for those of you who want to do it. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer 5 points extra credit on your final grade for going to a public history museum and writing a 2-page double-spaced report on your experience there. So I recommend 3: the King Center, the Center for Civil and Human Rights here downtown, the World War II and Holocaust Museum at Kennesaw State. So those are the 3 that I recommend. If you want to go to another one, just email me and let me know. It has to pertain something to we covered this semester, right? So it should have something to do with American history. I think those are the better ones, and those are the ones that I would, specifically the Center for Civil and Human Rights, I would advocate you go into that. So what you would do is you would write a 2-page analysis. 1 page would probably be kind of a summary of the exhibit, what you saw when you go through, kind of take me through it so I can see that you really soaked it in when you went in. And then probably another page after that would kind of analyze how it pertains to the things that we learned this semester, right? So that is your extra credit. For those of you, and I'm doing this extremely wearily, but for those of you who would like to, or who don't feel comfortable going to a public history exhibit, or don't want to go through that process for whatever reason, I am going to let you turn in a separate essay question. So instead of doing 2, you can do 3. And if you do 3, I won't give you the full 5 for going to a public history thing, but I will give you 3 points if you do 3 of the final essay questions. So keep that, you have the option. I want to do that. Normally I would make people go to if they want the extra credit, they would have to go to the exhibit, but I am obviously sympathetic to people who are having trouble with travel because of COVID, finances, just fear of getting COVID. I want to be sympathetic to that. So if you do a 3rd essay question and turn it in separately as a separate document under the extra credit tab, which I will post later, you will be eligible for 3 extra credit points. If you want the full 5, then you have to go to a public history exhibit, specifically, the Center for Civil and Human Rights, King Center, something like that, and then do a 2-page. So either way, you're doing a 2-page write-up. One is an experience that you go. The other is just answering from the material a 3rd one of these essays, right? So I want to be able to extend that to everyone. Both of those are a substantial amount of extra credit that will do you very well if you do that. So I would encourage you to do it. If you have any more questions, you can email me about that, and I'll be happy to talk further about it. That being said, good luck on your final as we begin to move into, we still have a few more weeks of unit material to cover. And I look forward to wrapping up the semester very well with you. All right? Thank you.